And if we go to Psalm 68:6, and this is very important, Psalm 68:6. Elohim makes a home for the lonely. He brings out into prosperity those who are bound with chains. Only the rebellious shall dwell in a dry land. What's that mean to dwell in a dry land? Let's contrast that with Zechariah. Zechariah 14. Zechariah 14, verses 17 and 18. And it shall be that if any one of the clans of the earth does not come up to Jerusalem to bow himself to the sovereign Yahweh of hosts, in other words, they're in rebellion, they don't want to come up, on them there is to be no rain. And if the clan of Mitzrayim does not come up and enter in, not just come up, but enter in, then there is no rain on them. And on them is a plague with which Yahweh plagues the nations, which do not come up to celebrate the festival of Sukkot. The punishment is no rain. What do we mean by no rain? Let's turn to Devarim. And keep the dry land and rain and everything in mind. And we'll turn to Devarim chapter 32. And we'll read verse 2. Yahweh says, let my instruction fall as the rain. So rain is instruction. My speech drop down as dew. If you go out early in the morning, the grass is wet, it hasn't rained, but it's wet with dew. And fine rain on the tender plants. Tender plants need fine rain. You get in a hard rain, man, they can drown. And showers on the grass. That's the rain that they're talking about. They won't get the instruction of Yahweh because they're in rebellion by not keeping his Moedim, by not keeping his Sabbath. And the first of the Moedim is the Sabbath. Their instruction, their lack of instruction rather, because they are in rebellion. Let's turn over to Yochanan or John, chapter 4. John chapter 4, and we'll start reading in verse 9. The woman of Shomeron, or Samaria, therefore said to him, how is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a woman of Shomeron? For Yahudim do not associate with Shomeramim. And Yeshua answered and said to her, if you knew the gift of Elohim and who it is who says to you, give me a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. This is the water that's being talked about in Deuteronomy 32. The water that we need so we won't have to be forced to dwell in a dry land because of our rebellion. And the woman said to him, Master, you have no vessel, and the well is deep. From where then do you have living water? Are you greater than our father Yaakov, who gave us the well and drank from it himself and his sons and his cattle? You see, she didn't get it at first because her mind was on the physical. And then finally the light bulb came on when Yeshua spoke to her. Yeshua answered and said to her, everyone drinking of this water shall thirst again. Well, that's true. Thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst. And the water that I give him shall become in him as a fountain of water, springing up unto everlasting life. And then the light bulb came on, and the woman said, oh, Master, give me this water so that I do not thirst, nor come here to draw. And Yeshua said, okay, go call your husband and come here. Get your husband, come on, I want to talk to you. And the woman said, well, that's a problem because I don't have a husband right now. And Joshua said, yeah, I know. You've had 5 husbands. So when you say, I don't have a husband, you're telling the truth. You've had 5 of them. You were living a life of rebellion. And that's what I'm calling you out of. And the woman said to him, Master, I see that you're a prophet. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, but you people say that in Jerusalem is the place where one needs to worship. Yeshua said to her, Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you shall neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship what you do not know, and we worship what we know, because deliverance is of the Yehudi. So Yeshua gave this woman living water. He gave her spiritual truth. He gave her instruction. And that saved her life. And then she went back to her village and she told all the men, hey, come on, see this man out here, he's a prophet. He's the Messiah. And many of them believed because of her testimony. So how do we get to this dry land where we don't want to be, really? Let's go back to Psalm 78. 78:8. Psalm 78, verse 8 says, and not be like their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation which did not prepare its heart, whose spirit was not steadfast to El. They were bitter. They were marah, bitter. So the solution is just the opposite. Be steadfast. Have emunah, firmness, fidelity, faithfulness, and that means taking responsibility. We have to take personal responsibility for ourselves. And again, as far as unwise counsel is concerned, let's go back to Yeshayahu, where we were. Isaiah chapter 30. And we're going to read the first 2 verses again. Woe to the stubborn children, declares Yahweh, to make counsel but not from me, to devise plans but not of my spirit, in order to add sin to sin. They just go deeper and deeper into sin. Who are setting out to go down to Mitzrayim, and have not asked my mouth to be strengthened in the strength of Pharaoh, and to seek refuge in the shadow of Mitzrayim. And if we go down to verses 9 and 10, this is a rebellious people, lying children. It's not very uncommon for rebellious people to lie, or to stretch the truth, or to cover up the truth. Rebellious children, lying people, children who refuse to hear the Torah, who say to the seers, do not see, and to the prophets, do not prophesy to us what is right. Speak to us what is smooth prophecy, and prophesy deceits. We don't want to hear these hard messages. We don't want to be called rebels. That's too harsh. Now, who is rebellion directed to? It's always directed to Yahweh, but also to his leadership. We have to remember that. By the way, walk. We encountered the word walk here. In Strong's, walk is number 1980, and halak. And halak or halakha is how we apply the Torah. So the people who are in rebellion to Yahweh are not applying the Torah correctly to their lives. They may read the Torah. They may talk about it. But I don't believe for one New York minute that they're applying it. They can't be.